As much as I had enjoyed my teaching experiences in high school and middle school, I knew I wouldn't be satisfied until I could teach in the college environment. So when I got that phone call inviting me to interview for the community college position that hadn't been funded the previous year, I virtually flew westward on the New York State Thruway to another of those small rural farm communities. High on a hill, in the middle of cornfields and cow pastures, stood a brand new brick campus, beckoning me to move my family yet again. True to tradition, I was offered the job a mere 3 weeks before school was scheduled to begin. What's the matter with these administrators anyway? Don't they understand teachers have families too? By this time, Cass was in her 8th month of pregnancy with daughter number 2. There we were, packing up a U-Haul truck for the 100-mile westward hoe to our new apartment. Naturally, none of the promised faculty helpers showed up for our well-promoted truck unloading party, so Cass and I worked much too hard, schlepping boxes and furniture until well past midnight. Thankfully, our new apartment was on the ground floor. 8 months pregnant? I still had trouble keeping up with Cass before we both collapsed onto an air mattress on the living room floor that first night, Jen sleeping between us. For her, this was another of life's adventures. For Cass and me, it was another of life's unwanted yet necessary chores. New faculty hires were required to participate in a 4-day orientation the first week of September, held at a historic lodge in Letchworth State Park, which would become a favorite place for Cass and me to visit over the years. I was put up at the lodge with 2 other new teachers as roommates. One a ceramics teacher from Philadelphia, the other a recently released prison inmate beginning his teaching career in the social services. We made quite the trio, we 3, showing up late for every meeting. We enjoyed 3 meals a day in the lodge restaurant, with not so enjoyable educational sessions each morning, afternoon, and evening. You might think I should have been thrilled to enjoy such largesse, but when your wife's anticipated Labor Day is September 8th, I felt like I was abandoning her in favor of the responsibilities of a new job. All this was made worse by our decision that she would deliver our new baby 100 miles to the east, in the town we had spent the previous year. After all, she had grown attached, so to speak, to her OBGYN and wasn't about to let a stranger bring baby number 2 into this cold, heartless world. Each night at the lodge, I had nightmares of getting a phone call from her telling me her water had broken. How would I get her to the hospital? Indeed, I had discussed this in advance with the college dean, asking to be excused from the orientation. Despite our situation, he refused to allow me to miss even 1 day of the 4-day workshop, suggesting instead that in the event of early labor I could leave if required. Here we go again, I thought. But Cass and I both decided to avoid yet another unpleasant administrative lesson in life before the first day of classes had even arrived. Trooper that she was, and still is, she assured me she could hold out. Actually, maybe hold in would have been a more accurate way to say it. Labor pains started on the evening of September 7th, the day after the orientation ended. How considerate of our new baby to accommodate my teaching schedule, as if sensing the tension we were enduring. We drove the 100 miles to the hospital, and I walked the halls with Cass as she prepared to deliver. Yes, in those days, a few forward-looking doctors believed that walking was far better preparation for delivering a baby than lying in bed. At the last moment, as she waddled into the delivery room, men weren't allowed entrance in those days, though I'm not sure I would have accompanied her even if allowed. She turned and looked back at me suddenly, as if we had overlooked something important. "Jeff, what if it's not a boy?" she asked, eyes wide. All this time, we had assumed by the shape of her belly and from family prognosticators that we would have a boy to complement our Jen. I don't know," was my stymied reply. She thought quickly before responding, "What about Jessica?" as they picked her up to put her on the delivery table. "Sounds good to me," was all I could manage before her doctor screamed, "Get him out of here, I have a baby to deliver." Not long thereafter, Jessica quite literally fell into the warm hands of the world. In the 1970s, new moms were required to stay in the hospital for 4 days. Monday morning, I had to drive back to school for my first full day on the evening of classes, returning Tuesday to pick them all up and take them to our new home. Believe it or not, I got a bit of administrative grief for missing the school day, praying this was not an omen of things to come. We four settled into our new life together, Jen already insisting on being the designated ice cream giver to her young sister. What a sight! She and her sister have been best friends ever since.